DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is nowhere to be found. Where it isn't. You put all this together, what you get is the mindset, method, and the personal initiative. Forgot about that. Personal initiative that moves you to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Now we put all that together. What you get is the mindset, the method, the podcast known as Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. And today's topic is this whole idea, this whole philosophy, the book. If you have not read my book, Work on Your Game, make sure you go get it while you're listening to me. But this whole thing about working on your game, I want you to understand that this is not the end of your journey. It's not the end of the process. Working on your game is the beginning of the process. Working on your game is just step one of what you do. See, the purpose of working on your game, or any form of, when I say working on your game, I'm talking any form of practice or training or preparation that you do so you can do the thing, whatever the thing is. This is just to get you ready for what's coming next. And today's episode is all about that, what's coming next. So when I say that, I'm going to tell you exactly what you're getting ready for when you work on your game. So when you are putting that work in, understand that this is just step one. It's an important step one. It's a step that you should not overlook, but it is just step one in the process of other things that you need to do in order to produce the success. If you want to be a successful person, whatever that means to you, you want to achieve certain achievements, you want to live a certain way, you want to feel a certain amount of fulfillment and accomplishment, working on your game is the beginning of that process. And I'm going to tell you what else is entailed. What else is entailed? Is that the right way to say that? Well, anybody who's a grammar teacher can help me on that. But what else is part of the rest of this process, just to keep the language simple? Let's get right into it. Point number one. Today's topic again is work on your game is just step one. Understand that you work on your game. The purpose of working on your game is to create and or be ready for an opportunity. That's why you work on your game, to get ready for something that might come your way. So you practice basketball, for example. Why? So you can play well in the game. If you're getting ready to, let's say you're an entrepreneur and you're getting ready to you're going to appear on ABC's Shark Tank in front of the sharks, so you can pitch your business and maybe get the funding that you want for your business, or the connection or the business partner you want for your business. You'll probably practice your pitch. That's working on your game, right? Working on your game is what you do before the lights come on. If you're a person you're a professional speaker, or you're giving a sales pitch, or you're going to a job interview, maybe you do a run-through, dry run interview, or you practice your speech that you're going to give, or you get ready you practice the sales pitch. Have somebody test you and ask you some questions about the product or service that you're going to be selling, so you can be ready for the questions that your prospect may possibly ask. This is all part of working on your game. Working on your game is the preparation that you do in the shadows, that you do in the dark, that many people don't see, many people don't know about. And even when they do see it and know about it, they may not fully appreciate it because they haven't been through it the way that you've been through it. These days, of course, many of us, and I consider myself a pioneer of this, have pulled back the curtain on the practice, pulled back the curtain on the preparation work, and showed people what it looks like, what it feels like, and hopefully made it into something that you see as cool, interesting, at least worth doing, even if you're not excited about it still. You don't have to be excited about it, but you do need to do it so that your game is ready for when the lights come on and people are paying for those tickets and they're sitting in the seats and they expect to see a high level performance. You got to be ready for that. And I'm saying that metaphorically, not necessarily literally, for those of you who aren't in a performance type of business. I mean like a performance art business, such as playing sports or a singer or a dancer. But any type of work that you do, the game is when you show up to the job and people are expecting you to deliver at a certain level. You work on your game before that, just so you're ready when the lights do come on. But what happens after that is the next question that is begged, and we're gonna get to that in point number two. Today's topic again is working on your game is just step number one. The second thing you do after you work on your game and create that opportunity for yourself is you got to get in the game. Just because you practiced does not mean that you're going to play. Any athletes who are listening to this, if you play a team sport, it doesn't even have to be a team sport. Just because you practiced a lot and you trained a lot and you did all the stuff that you felt like you needed to do to get yourself ready for the live game performance, this does not necessarily mean that you're going to get a chance in the live game. On a basketball team, there are 12 players on the roster, 15 players on the roster, but only 5 players can be on the court at one time. At the time that I'm recording this, the NBA playoffs are beginning and getting into full swing. The thing about the playoffs is usually what they say, the analysts say, is that coaches shorten their rotation during the playoffs, which means the rotation in basketball is basically the number of players who normally would expect on an average game to get in the game and play. So if there are 12 players on the roster, the rotation is usually maybe 9 or 10 guys are getting in the game on a regular basis on any given game. During the playoffs, that rotation can shorten to 7 or 8 guys because the games are more intense. There's more at stake. There are no throwaway moments or throwaway games in the playoffs. So those players who are players number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 during the playoffs, even though you had to practice every day, you got to show up every day. You got to do all the same work. You got to get on the same bus, get on the same planes, answer the same questions, do everything all the other players do. You may not get a chance to actually get in the game and show the game that you've been working on. And this is all part of being a professional. So just because you did the practice doesn't mean you're going to get a chance. You can practice your speeches all the time. Listen, there are events and conferences that I reach out to about being a speaker at their conference, giving a keynote or even a session sometimes at their conference, and they turn me down. So I worked on my game. I know I'm pretty good at speaking. You hear me doing it every single day and sharing value every single day, but not everything's for everybody, and not everybody's for everything. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not good, but maybe this topic doesn't fit for them. Maybe they already got somebody and they just can't make any changes even though they think I'm amazing and the best speaker they ever heard of. Maybe they're just not interested for some other reason that I'm not even aware of. But just because you work on your game does not mean that you're going to get a chance to get in the game and actually do your thing. Practice does not mean you're necessarily going to play. You might have to earn your roster spot to get on the team, to get in the game, sell yourself to get on the stage, as I just mentioned, marketing yourself to even get looked at in the first place, let alone chosen. Just to even get looked at, you may have to do a sales job just to get a chance, right? In basketball, at the professional level, you may want to, let's say you want to play professionally for a certain team, or you just want to play professionally, period, but right now you're not playing, or right now you're not on that team, and they're having a tryout. But this tryout that they're having, or this workout, or whatever they want to call it, it's a private, closed event, which means the only players who will be allowed to come to the tryout to actually get a chance are the players that team invited. So you have to market and sell yourself just to get in the room, let alone to perform. In the game group, I did a review of a overseas professional basketball camp by an agency called Slammers. They're located in Bonn, Germany. And one of the things they say on their website for this camp that they're holding in the summertime, which may be probably be happening around the time that you're listening to this, is they say we're only going to allow 40 players into this camp, and only 20 of those 40 players will be players that are not represented by our company already. So 20 basically free agents / nobody players that they never heard of before. Of those 20, you got to sell yourself to get in that room. So it may be 80 players who want to play at that camp and are willing to spend the money and get on the plane and travel to Bonn, Germany for the chance to try out to play professional basketball, but they're not going to take everybody. They're only going to take 20. So this is what I mean. This is the marketing and promotion and selling and work. This is work. Marketing, promotion, and selling are work. If any of you have never done it before, go try it and you'll learn that it's definitely work. Any of you who have done a lot of it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it doesn't always produce a result, but it's work that you have to do. And you have to do this just to give yourself a chance to get in the game, just to give yourself a chance to get seen. This is the stage that we will call creating interest, quote unquote. You want to create interest, you got to get out there and let people see what you can do, get them at least a sample or two of what it is you bring to the table so they know what they're saying no to or what they're saying yes to. And this is a step that is often overlooked by people as we work on our games, because we want to go straight to step number 3. And I'm going to tell you what step number 3 is in a moment. We skip this step of making sure we get seen, making sure somebody knows about us, making sure there's a market who actually wants what it is that we're offering. But if you can't understand it, if you can't sell yourself, and this is for you entrepreneurs, you may have a great product, a great service, you may be the best coach or consultant out there in the world, but if you can't sell yourself, all that work that you've done in the dark may never see the light of day. You got to be able to sell yourself and market and promote yourself. You cannot skip step 2, because what you'll have is a person with a whole lot of game, and then you're wondering why you're not getting the opportunities. And I think many people have that challenge right now, but if you didn't know, in the game group membership, you can learn a lot about the strategies that I use to get myself seen, get myself heard, get myself known by the right people, the people who are actually in the market for whatever it is I'm selling. Not to everybody, but to the right people. Let's move on to step number 3. Because many people know about step number 3. They go straight from step 1, they work on their game, then they skip step 2 of selling themselves and marketing themselves, and they go straight to step 3. Today's topic again is working on your game is just the first step. Here's step number 3 is performing. Step number 3 is actually showing your game and doing your thing. This is the live game, the sales presentation, the job interview, the filming of the television show. This is when you show off all the work that you've done in the dark. But I got to offer you a disclaimer. Here's the disclaimer to performing and showing your game under the lights. Showing that work, the work that you've done, the skills that you've developed, the game that you have, showing that off when it matters most, when all eyes are on you, when the money is on the line, that is a skill in itself. Not everybody has the skill of performing when everybody's watching, which they could interpret as pressure, which you can interpret as a stressful moment, which could create some anxiety within you. It takes experience and it takes a certain mindset. And it's not one particular mindset, but the mindset that works best for you. If you don't know what that is, then you need to do the mental work to figure that out. A certain mindset for someone to perform what they've been doing in the dark now that there's plenty of lights. Now that there are all of the lights, to phrase the Kanye West song. Performing under the whistle is what we used to call it in basketball. When we would play pickup games outside of the park, there's no referees, there are no coaches, there are no plays being run. It's just basically open style basketball, 5-on-5 basketball. We're still using the rules of the game, but it's open style. There are no refs. So we basically police ourselves out there on the court. And some players can play really good in the pickup games, but then when we get into the actual game, when there's a referee, there's a scoreboard, there are plays being run, there are coaches, we call that the under the whistle situation because the referee has the whistle. So that's what it meant when we said under the whistle. Some players, their game didn't transfer. The game didn't transfer over from the pickup, the open style, to the under the whistle style, the more organized, more structured style. And it's the same thing in all other forms of entertainment. You could be the best ballet dancer when you're in the studio practicing, but then when you get to that recital and there are 500 people in the audience watching and you know half of them and you know they all came just to see you, that anxiety, the stress that may be created within you when those lights come on, it may not be the same performance. You may not be as confident. In that sales presentation, you practice every single thing you were going to say, every button you were going to hit, every question you were going to answer. But then when you're sitting in front of the big CEO from the big company who finally flew into town just to get your sales presentation, you only got 5 minutes with them, you may not be as smooth as you were in practice when you're in your kitchen in your underwear. So the ability to perform under the lights, when everybody's watching, when what you may feel as pressure, when that's on, that's a skill in itself. Not everybody has that skill. It takes certain experience and it takes a certain mindset. Point number 4. Today's topic is the work that you do on your game. The work that you put in on your game is only the first step in the process. What's step number 4? Let's see if anybody knows this. So the first step is that you work on your game. Second step is you market, promote, sell yourself, or whatever work you need to do to get yourself in the games. To get to the point where you have an opportunity to show the work that you've done, right? The third step is that you've created that opportunity and you perform. So whatever it is you've been working on, you perform it and you show up when it matters most. That's step number 3. What's step number 4? What's the fourth thing that comes after that? You did the work, you sold yourself to get a chance, you actually performed with your chance, and the fourth step is what? Anybody know? Nobody? Okay. Fourth step is producing results. You got to produce a result. What is the end goal of the game that you're playing in? You did all that work on your game. You sold yourself so you could get in the game. You actually performed and you feel like you have performed pretty well in the game. So what's the end goal of that game? What's the next thing? In sports, for example, the result is we want to win the game. So if I'm a basketball player, I can work on my game all summer. I go to tryouts. That's the work on that game all summer is step number 1. Go to tryouts and make the team is step number 2. If I go score 30 points in the game, that's step number 3. Now my team has to win the game. That's step number 4. Just because I scored 30 doesn't mean we won. And if you score 30 a bunch of times, but the team loses every time, maybe you scoring 30 is not the best strategy. So you might lose your opportunity to perform because your performance obviously isn't helping the team produce the result. So it goes past the performance. What's the result that you want after the performance? What result do you want to produce with the performance is the better way of saying it. In sports, you want to win the game. And it's black and white in sports as we have scoreboards. And let's say in the sales, if you're in the sales industry, and we're all in sales, you want to create the exchanges of your products or your service. So if you did the work creating a product, you did the selling, getting an audience of people who will at least read your sales page, you did the performance and you think the sales page is great and you've been telling everybody about it and all your social and all your emails and whatever marketing you're doing, that's the third step. You perform. What's the fourth step? You want somebody to sign up. You want somebody to enter their credit card information so you can actually sell that product. That's creating the exchange is the end goal in sales. You need to clearly define, any of you, no matter what you do, clearly define what the result is that you're after. And the reason why you need to clearly define it is because unlike in, let's say, basketball or in a sales situation, not all games have one clear agreed upon outcome. Different people doing the exact same thing have different outcomes that they wish to achieve. If you're a consultant or a professional speaker, for example, the audience may love you. That's one result. But the person who cut that check and the person who could possibly cut another check for you, they're the ones who you need to be watching because they're the ones who can produce the result of you maybe creating some repeat business. You actually making an upsell and selling some other product at the end of it. So it's not necessarily one result that maybe other people think makes you look good that is really the result that you're after. You need to know the result that you're after so you know what you're aiming for when you go out there and perform. Don't just perform blindly, not knowing like whatever happens, happens. Maybe there's some times in life when you can look at things that way, but once you start to get serious, you start to get strategic about your business, your life, your sport, your game, you need to know what the outcome is that you're after so you know whether you succeeded or not and you know what adjustments to make, if any. The audience will love you again, but the person who's cutting the check is the one you need to be watching. If you're a musician, there's some musicians out there who want to sell a whole bunch of albums or get a whole bunch of streams so maybe they make money from it or whatever fulfillment they get from it. There are some artists who just want critical acclaim. They want the critics, the people who review music and can be critical of music to say that this music is actually great. There are some artists out there who just want to establish a fan base because they want to connect with some people. There are some artists out there who just want to get respect from other artists because they want to know that other artists see their art as actually good. And who's right and who's wrong? Nobody. But everybody has a different result they're trying to produce. There's no one right or wrong way in many areas of life to produce the result, but you need to know what your result, what your aimed for outcome is. And there's one more step. So we worked on our game. You got your opportunity to get in the game. You performed. You produced a result. What else comes after that? You produce a result, Dre. What else do we need to do? Point number 5. Today's topic again is working on your game is only the first step in the process. Point number 5 is you leverage those results into a new opportunity. Because you're going to do this whole thing all over again. If you sold a product, for example, if I sell vacuum cleaners door to door and I sold one to Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I want to get some referrals from Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Why? So I can go out and perform at the neighbor next door, produce another result, and then get some referrals from them. So you want to continue. When you create a success, you got to build on that success. Don't let the success just die right there on the spot. If you play really well in a game, athletes, you get the footage of yourself playing well in that game and use that as your resume to market yourself to the next team that you want to play for or the next contract that you want to sign. If you put an album out and the album does great, then you probably should schedule a tour and do some live shows so you can make some more money and give more to your fans and sell some merchandise or whatever it is that you want to do. Then you just start the cycle all over again. That's the way that it works. Let's recap today's topic, which is working on your game is only the first step in the process. Many people think it's the last step. It's only the first step. Now, point number 1, you work on your game to create and or get ready for an opportunity. You practice basketball, for example, so you can play well in the game. If you're going on Shark Tank, you practice your pitch. Working on your game is the stuff that you do before the lights come on. After that, point number 2, you got to get in the game. Just because you practice and you think you're good does not mean you will get an opportunity to show off that you're good. You got to create interest. You must market yourself. You must sell yourself in order to get looked at. And many people who work on their game a lot overlook this step of selling themselves because they want to go straight to step number 3. Point number 3 is performing. This is the live game, the sales presentation, the job interview. This is the filming of the TV show. This is where you show off all the work you've done in the dark. But a disclaimer is the ability to perform under the lights is different from the ability to practice in the dark. It is a completely different skill that many people have to work on developing. Many people deal with performance anxiety in this area. And this is something that I dealt with and help you fix. And I help you fix this challenge in my book, Work on Your Game, using the pro athlete mindset to dominate in business, sports, and life, wherever fine books are sold. Point number 4, you got to produce results. You perform, you got to produce a certain result. What is the end goal of the game that you're playing in? What is it that you want to achieve at the end of the game? What's the one thing you want to do that you can say, this was successful? You must clearly define what that outcome is, because not all games have an agreed upon outcome. Two different people can have two different results they want to produce from the exact same action. What is your result? And point number 5, once you have produced results, leverage those results into a new opportunity. If you sold a product, for example, you're going to get referrals so you can do what? Sell your product again. If you played well in a game, you want to get footage of that game and market yourself. Why? So the next team you try out for, maybe you don't have to do all that selling because you got the footage of the last game that shows you're good. So you don't have to prove that you're good anymore. Now all you got to do is tell them, hey, here I am. Here's what I've done. Here's the price. Are you going to sign me or are you not? So then you restart the cycle. You got to work on your game again, because just because you develop game doesn't mean your game stays. You got to keep practicing to stay sharp. Then you get your opportunity to get in. Maybe you won't have to do so much marketing and promotion once your name gets big enough. I mean, Barack Obama, for example, doesn't have to market and promote himself as far as him coming and giving a speech, and inspiring and uplifting speech, because everybody knows who he is and they know his work. The third thing is you got to perform. No matter how known and famous you are, how long your resume, if your performance starts to slip, word's going to get around, and you have to go back to step 1, working on your game again. Maybe you have to resell yourself. Point number 4, producing results. Once the results are produced, well, first of all, you got to know what the results are. What is the outcome that I'm after here? Is it just anything? Is it just I'll end up wherever? If you don't know what your result is, you probably won't get a result because you don't have one, so it's impossible to get it. And point number 5, once you produce the result, leverage those results into future opportunities. What are you going to do now? You sold a vacuum cleaner to Mr. and Mrs. Jones, asked them for referrals, now go sell the vacuum cleaner to their friends. And you start the cycle all over again. This is a not even a self, but it is a recurring cycle that happens over and over and over again. And it starts with you working on your game. It ends with you leveraging the opportunities you have created to do it all over again. When does it end? Never. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com. Nobody out there needs more information. What you need these days is a strategy, frameworks, processes, how to actually take all the information that's out there, all the knowledge and content that's out there, make sense of it, and actually produce a result, a tangible result. That's why I created the Game Group. It is my membership site where you will get tangible results for specific areas: business, personal development, basketball skill, and professional basketball. Choose your area of focus, and we have targeted, specified outcomes every single month, along with live trainings, the ability to contact me, have your work critiqued by me, and a whole lot of other stuff. The link and all the information is down in the description at DreAllDay.com/membership. Get in the Game Group if you're ready to get some results and not just a whole bunch of information. Let's do it. Work on your game.